Good afternoon. Welcome to Kenya News Update today. I'm your host, and we begin with a story that combines athletic achievement, economic impact, and the undeniable reality of our changing climate. The Osaka Marathon, held yesterday, February 22nd, 2026, saw nearly 35,000 runners take to the streets of Japan's second city. But this wasn't just another race. It unfolded under unseasonably warm, spring-like conditions, with temperatures soaring to levels more typical of late April. This event, now in its 14th year, serves as a powerful lens through which we can examine global sporting culture, urban event management, and the pressing environmental challenges that transcend borders. Over the next 12 minutes, we will dive deep into the numbers, the human stories, and the broader implications of this massive gathering in Osaka. Our first perspective focuses on the sheer scale and execution of the event as a triumph of logistics and civic pride. The starting signal sounded shortly after 9 a.m. in front of the iconic Osaka Prefectural Government Building. From that point, waves of citizen runners, one after another, embarked on the grueling 42.195-kilometer course that wound through the heart of the city. Organizing an event of this magnitude is a monumental task. Consider the infrastructure required. Road closures affected over 50 major arteries for a period exceeding 6 hours. Public transportation, including the city's extensive subway and rail network, had to implement special schedules to accommodate both runners and spectators. The event's economic impact is projected to be substantial. Early estimates from the Osaka Tourism Bureau suggest a direct injection of approximately 12.5 billion yen into the local economy from participant spending on accommodation, food, and merchandise. Furthermore, the global media exposure for the city, with broadcast reach into over 120 countries, provides invaluable promotional value that is difficult to quantify. Let's break down the participant demographics, which reveal a fascinating story about the marathon's appeal. Out of the nearly 35,000 registered runners, approximately 28,000 were Japanese citizens, with the remaining 7,000 comprising international participants from 85 different nations. The gender split was nearly even, with 48% female and 52% male runners. The age range was remarkably broad, with the youngest registered participant being 18 and the oldest an inspiring 82-year-old from Nagoya. This diversity underscores the marathon's role as a truly inclusive community event, not just an elite competition. While the professional field included 120 elite athletes invited by the organizers, the overwhelming majority, over 34,800 people, were everyday citizens who had trained for months, even years, for this single day. Their motivations are as varied as their backgrounds: personal achievement, raising funds for charity, honoring a loved one, or simply testing the limits of human endurance. However, a second, more critical perspective emerges when we examine the conditions under which this marathon was run. The weather was the dominant and concerning narrative. February in Osaka typically sees average high temperatures of around 10 degrees Celsius. Yesterday, the mercury climbed to a staggering 18 degrees Celsius, a figure that is 8 degrees above the seasonal norm and far more characteristic of late April. This presented significant challenges and risks. Medical tents stationed along the route reported a 35% increase in treatments for heat-related illnesses compared to the previous year's event, which was run in cooler conditions. Specifically, there were over 200 documented cases of heat exhaustion and 40 cases of more severe heat stroke, requiring intravenous fluids and extended monitoring. Race organizers had prepared for this possibility, deploying 1,500 volunteers specifically for hydration and medical support, and increasing the number of water stations from 20 to 28 along the course. Yet, the conditions inevitably affected performance. While the elite winners still posted impressive times, the average finish time for the mass participation field slowed by an estimated 12 minutes compared to last year, as runners wisely adjusted their pace to cope with the unexpected warmth. This leads us directly to our third and most urgent perspective: the marathon as a case study in climate adaptation. The unseasonable warmth in Osaka is not an isolated incident. It is part of a well-documented global trend. Meteorological data from the Japan Meteorological Agency shows that the average February temperature in the Kansai region, which includes Osaka, has risen by 1.8 degrees Celsius over the past 50 years. The frequency of what they term unseasonably warm days in winter has increased by over 40% in the last 2 decades. For major outdoor sporting events like the Osaka Marathon, this is no longer a hypothetical risk but an operational reality. We are now forced to debate a crucial question: should the scheduling of such massive, physically demanding events be reconsidered? Proponents of change argue that for the safety of participants, especially the vast majority of amateur runners, marathons in temperate regions may need to shift from traditional spring and autumn slots to the cooler winter months. They point to the Tokyo Marathon, held in early March, which has also faced warming trends. Critics of rescheduling cite entrenched tourism calendars, television broadcasting contracts worth millions of dollars, and the potential disruption to the annual athletic calendar. Let's visualize the scale of the medical response required by yesterday's conditions. Medical personnel treated 240 runners for heat-related issues. Of those, 200 were classified as heat exhaustion, while 40 were the more serious heat stroke cases. This required the full mobilization of 1,500 support volunteers. The debate intensifies when we consider predictive models. Climate scientists project that, by the year 2040, conditions similar to yesterday's could become the February norm in Osaka, not the exception. This forces event organizers into a difficult position. Do they invest in ever more extensive mitigation strategies, more water, more ice, more medical tents, essentially trying to air condition an entire city route? Or do they make the more fundamental, and likely more controversial, decision to move the event to a cooler time of year? The economic stakes are high. A rescheduled event could clash with other major marathons, affecting elite athlete participation and international travel bookings. The Osaka Marathon's current date is strategically placed in a global running calendar that includes events in Dubai, Tokyo, and Boston. A shift could disrupt this delicate ecosystem. Beyond scheduling, there is the debate around participant responsibility and education. In the lead-up to yesterday's race, organizers issued multiple heat advisories through their official app and social media channels. They recommended that runners adjust their pace, wear appropriate moisture-wicking clothing, and increase their pre-race hydration. Yet, with the excitement of the event and personal time goals, how many heeded this advice fully? Some sports medicine experts argue that the culture of marathon running itself needs to adapt, placing a greater emphasis on listening to one's body and respecting environmental conditions over the pursuit of a personal best time in unsafe weather. This is a significant cultural shift in a sport built on pushing limits. Now, let's contrast the participant numbers with the medical incidents to understand the scale of the challenge. We see the vast field of 35,000 runners against the 240 who required medical attention. While the percentage is relatively small, the absolute number represents a substantial logistical challenge for race medics. The event's success, therefore, is a dual narrative, a celebration of human achievement tempered by a stark reminder of our vulnerability to environmental factors. The winning times themselves tell a story. The men's champion, a Kenyan elite athlete, crossed the finish line in 2 hours, 7 minutes, and 15 seconds. The women's champion from Ethiopia finished in 2 hours, 23 minutes, and 40 seconds. While these are world-class times, both were approximately 90 seconds slower than the course records, set on a cooler day 5 years ago. This subtle slowdown at the elite level is a telling indicator of the conditions. The story of the Osaka Marathon also intersects with global geopolitics and soft power. In a world where major cities compete for international attention, events like this are strategic assets. They showcase a city's organizational prowess, its cleanliness, its public safety, and its hospitality. For Japan, still navigating its post-pandemic recovery in the tourism sector, the flawless execution of such a large event, even under climatic stress, sends a powerful message to the world. It reinforces brand Japan as capable, resilient, and open for business and tourism. The presence of 7,000 international runners, each with family and friends potentially watching from abroad, creates a ripple effect of positive exposure that advertising campaigns cannot easily buy. Finally, we must consider the local perspective from Osaka residents not participating in the race. For them, the marathon is a day of both disruption and festivity. The road closures, while planned and announced well in advance, inevitably cause inconvenience for businesses and residents along the route. A survey conducted after last year's event found that 65% of residents viewed the marathon positively for the economic and cultural benefits it brings, while 30% cited traffic disruption as a significant negative. This year, with the warmer weather, many residents reportedly lined the course not just to cheer, but also to offer unofficial support, handing out extra water, ice packs, and cooling sprays to struggling runners, a spontaneous display of community spirit that emerged in response to the challenging conditions. As we conclude our deep dive, the Osaka Marathon of 2026 stands as a multifaceted event. It is a testament to human ambition, with 35,000 individuals pushing their personal boundaries. It is a marvel of modern urban logistics, seamlessly integrating a massive sporting event into the pulse of a megacity. But most poignantly, it is a canary in the coal mine for our warming planet. The unseasonable heat that defined this year's race is a tangible, measurable symptom of climate change, impacting not just ecosystems, but also our cultural and sporting traditions. The debates it sparks about safety, scheduling, economics, and adaptation are microcosms of the larger conversations we must have as a global society. The runners who crossed the finish line yesterday achieved something extraordinary, but they also ran through a reality that cities and event organizers worldwide can no longer ignore. The path forward requires balancing our celebratory human spirit with a renewed respect for the environmental context in which we express it. That is the enduring story from the streets of Osaka. Thank you for joining us for this comprehensive analysis. For continued coverage of global events and their local impacts, subscribe to Kenya News Update today.